To use iClicker in class, run the iClicker application. Select the course and click on the Start New Session button. Scores based on questions for a given session correspond to one entry in the iClicker gradebook. You may click on the Resume Session button if you want scores for more questions added to the last session. To be able to start or resume a session, either the course is REEF-enabled and the computer is connected to the internet, or the application is running on a computer that is connected to an iClicker-based receiver. In the example shown here, you can start a session because the course is REEF-enabled, even though the application is running on a computer that is not connected to a base receiver. However, in this scenario, only students who have REEF can participate in the session. The physical iClicker 2 remotes will not work because there is no base receiver. Here is a scenario where a session cannot be started. The course is not REEF-enabled, and the application is running on a computer that is not connected to a base receiver. When you start an iClicker session, a small toolbar will appear somewhere on your screen. It's a floating toolbar. You can drag it with the mouse to reposition it at any time. This is something you may want to do to keep it from blocking important information on the screen. Initially, the toolbar shows a button that says multiple choice with a green arrow. Click on that button to start a poll. A timer will start counting up unless you had previously opted for a countdown in the course settings. Next to the timer, you will see the number of students who have submitted a response using their remote or through REEF. At this point, you will see that the green arrow in the multiple choice button has been replaced by a red square. You can stop the poll at any time by clicking on this button again. If you had opted for a countdown in the course settings, polling will automatically be stopped when the timer reaches 0. When the poll is stopped, the timer and response counter will disappear. Students can change their answers for as long as answers are being collected. The last answer submitted is the answer that counts. You are not limited to multiple choice questions with iClicker. You can have students submit an alphanumeric response. Next to the button that you click on to start collecting responses is a smaller button marked with a small triangle. Clicking on it reveals a pull-down menu where you can select the type of response you want. Clicking on numeric makes the toolbar look like this. The label on the button you press to initiate collection of responses is now labeled numeric, and the students will be expected to submit a numeric response. Clicking on short answer makes the toolbar look like this. Submitting numeric and short answer responses is straightforward for students using REEF. They just use the keyboard of their computer or mobile device. However, students need to be taught how to use their iClicker 2 remote to submit an alphanumeric response. The first thing they need to do is click the refresh button. Then press the up or down button until the first character of the answer appears on the screen. Then press the right button followed by the up or down button until the next character of the answer appears on the screen. Press the left button followed by the up or down button to change the previous character. The delete button works like the backspace key of a computer keyboard. The send button sends what's shown on the screen to the receiver. If the answer was successfully transmitted, a check mark will be shown next to the answer on the screen. Please emphasize to students that a check mark does not mean that their answer is correct. It only means that the answer was received. Just like for multiple choice questions, students can change their answers for as long as answers are still being collected. The last submitted answer is the one that counts. To see how students responded, click on the bar graph icon in the toolbar. Clicking on it will show a graph of the distribution of student responses. Clicking on it again will hide the graph. In the example here, 2 students have responded to the question. 1 student answered B and 1 student answered C. This graph is for question 1. You can look at results for other questions by clicking on these arrows. While the graph is shown, you can click on the correct answer and the bar for it turns green. All the other bars will turn red. For example, clicking on C on this graph will cause the bar for C to turn green and the bar for B to turn red. If there were other answers submitted, the bars for those will turn red as well. It's best to mark the correct answer as soon as you reveal the graph to the students. However, if you forget or if you somehow made a mistake, you don't need to worry. A screenshot of what was on your computer screen when you did the poll has been recorded, and you can look at it later in the gradebook, where you can specify or change the correct answer if necessary. Here's an example of a bar graph showing the answer distribution for a numeric question. Here, the answer 26.2 has been marked correct. With numeric and short answer questions, you can actually mark more than one response as correct. This is particularly useful for numeric responses if there is some error tolerance. Specifying the number of significant characters can be useful as well. For example, if you specify 3 significant characters, all answers that have the same first 3 characters will be grouped together and the group can be marked as correct. For multiple choice questions, only one response can be marked as correct. To terminate a session, simply click on the X on the upper left-hand corner of the floating toolbar. The main menu for the iClicker application will pop back up. Click on the X on the upper right-hand corner to quit the application. If you are using a shared computer, don't forget to unplug the removable drive where software and student data are stored. If you have already linked your iClicker course to its corresponding Moodle course, you can easily upload grades to the Moodle gradebook. Open the iClicker application, select the course, and click on Open Gradebook. Click on Sync Scores. Select the sessions for which you want to upload grades. In the example shown here, session 36 is checked. It's a good idea to re-upload grades for sessions that may previously have unidentified grades. I prefer to just upload all the sessions every time. You can do this easily by clicking on the Select All button. Here you can see that I have all sessions selected. Once you have made your selection, click on the Next button. Specify how much detail you want in the posted grades. I prefer to just post one grade. So I select Aggregate Sessions together in one entry. And I also select Total Points. That is the sum of participation and performance points. After you've made your choices, click the Upload button. A window will pop up to keep you updated on the progress of the upload. If everything goes well, you see a message that says Scores uploaded successfully. If you go to your Moodle gradebook, you will see that the uploaded scores are posted in a category called iClicker Polling Scores. This category is automatically created and you will see it at the bottom of your gradebook. Note that since I chose to aggregate the total points for all sessions, there is only one grade item in the example shown here. It is called Aggregate Total. After you've done your first upload, go to your gradebook setup so that you can give this category an appropriate weight. Sometimes you forget to mark the correct answers for some of the questions during an iClicker session. It can also happen that you do a poll on a question that turns out to be bad. For example, a student might argue that 2 answers in a multiple choice question can be considered correct, but you can only mark one as correct. Don't worry, you can adjust grades using the gradebook. Open the iClicker application, select the course, then click on Open Gradebook. Click on the View link for the session you want to adjust. In the example shown here, if you want to adjust scores for session 35, you would click here. Thumbnails of what was on your screen when you started the poll for each question can be found on the left side. In the example shown here, the highlighted thumbnail is question 1. Double-clicking on the thumbnail will bring up the actual screenshot so you can recall exactly what question 1 was all about. Here you see the distribution of student responses to question 1. The green bar corresponds to the correct answer. You can change the correct answer by clicking on one of the checkboxes or manually entering it. Let's say A and C happen to be both correct, but you could only mark A as correct during class. You can double-click on the point value for C and change it from 0 to 1, or 0.5 if you think it's not quite correct. Let's say the question was bad. You can just delete it and not have it count by clicking on the Delete Question button. You can click on the arrow buttons to examine the next or previous question. Or you can quickly move to another question by scrolling through the thumbnails and clicking on the thumbnail for that question. You can also change the scoring policy for just this session by clicking here. When you're done, simply close the window by clicking on the X at the upper right-hand corner.